Closing keynote. It's been a great day so far, and we're going to end off on a great note. I have Sanjay Singhal, President and Chairman and Director of Simply Audiobooks, and we're very fortunate to have him here today. And I'll let Sanjay take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here today. I'm here to talk to you, if you've read the bio in there, basically how to lose money, how to lose all your friends, how to go bankrupt, how to get a divorce. That's right, how to be an entrepreneur, okay? So I don't know how I'm going to compete with the sales negotiation one that I was just in. I can further elaborate on some of the dating stuff that Tavis talked about, because I have read all of those books. Okay? So again, if you didn't get a chance to talk to him, talk to me afterwards. Okay? So let me ask the first question. What do you guys want me to talk about? Like, what do you expect to get out of this conversation that we're going to have? Okay, that's going to be easy. I got all of those. All right. What are you guys here for? Like, what is it that you? Why are you even in Velocity? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? What?
Trying to accomplish a vision.
Okay. Of
like a potential market that we exploit that is somewhat that we are really good at somehow.
Wow. Did you read that somewhere? Because. Sorry, it just sounds like a pamphlet for getting into Velocity. Okay, so
something new and innovative. Come up with something new.
Okay, like making money, power, changing the world. All of these sound familiar?
Trying to meet the people that are going to be the movers and shakers, and just get in with that.
Okay, I assume you're talking about these guys, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. Sorry.
And you.
Well, thank you.
I'm personally here to learn.
Okay. Whatever you can soak up. Right?
As much information as I can get from
Okay.
Velocity.
45 degrees, all of that.
45 degrees.
All right. All right. Okay. So is there somebody back there? Okay.
How do you turn an idea into a product and sell it?
Okay. All right. That's good. Well, tell you. Okay. That gives me a pretty good feel for your background. And what I've been told is you guys want to be entrepreneurs. Many of you already are entrepreneurs. And so I can come and talk to you about what entrepreneurship is like from my perspective, and yeah, what not to do, some of the things that can work. I'll tell you just a little bit about my background, because Sean and I were just talking about, as I was introduced as chairman and director at Simply Audiobooks, that's not even true as of about 2 weeks ago, because entrepreneurs' lives are constantly changing. So I had my first venture, Video Drive, 15 years ago, that went out of business, didn't cost me much except all my friends in Toronto. Then the second one, which was Nicaean in San Diego, went bust big time. That cost me my marriage and a bankruptcy. One of those was a really good thing. Okay? So I'll let you guys guess. Guess which one that was. The third one was a venture where I was in sales for 4 years at Empathics, open platform voicemail systems, high-tech sales. It's where I excel. It's what I really like doing. And exited that one. The CEO and I thought, hey, it's been 4 years. I want to go do something else, buy out my share. And I invested that in a company called Simply Audiobooks. Simply Audiobooks has been going for about 5 years now. And I was kind of impatient. I thought, you know, a few years into it, I thought, this has been a great ride. Simply Audiobooks hit Profit Hot 50 fastest growing companies 2 years in a row. Entrepreneurial Company of the Year, Ernst & Young, 2 years ago. $7 million a year in sales after 3 years. It was like skyrocketing, right in the high life. But I guess I like starting companies. And so about a year ago, I started another company. And that company just became successful enough that I've now left Simply Audiobooks. I'm still the largest shareholder. I'm still on the board of directors there. But the new company is called Graboid. Now, anybody here ever heard of it? No? Wow, our advertising is really bad. Okay. It's a video streaming company. The parent company, FuseNet, that I co-founded, developed. Okay, anybody here familiar with Usenet? Yeah? Okay. You may know that you can't stream video off Usenet, okay, until this company came along. So if you're trying to get video, and they've got pretty much everything on there that you can find on the internet anywhere, this company came up with technology to stream video off Usenet, which is the highest quality, highest selection, highest speed source of video on the internet. So started a company called Graboid a year ago. I think now there's 700,000 users. Company's doing $3 million a year in revenue, and $1 million of that is profit. Incredible margins. And that's also skyrocketing. It doubled in size in the last 3 months. It'll double again probably 6 months from now. And just to prove how entrepreneurs can think, sometimes you should just stick with the same company and ride it. But I got all excited because another guy came to me with an idea 2 months ago for a mobile application for price comparison shopping with geolocation as part of it, which sounds like I'm just throwing out a bunch of buzzwords. But we just raised a bunch of money. We're going to go out and actually start that company. I think next week actually is when those guys quit their jobs and start working. So if we're going to talk about starting companies, okay, I am a good guy to talk to. If we're going to talk about sticking with companies long term and turning them into a Microsoft or a Research in Motion, not so much me. Bill Gates apparently seems to have a lot of time on his hands these days to do commercials with Jerry Seinfeld. You guys have seen these? So maybe he might be available. Give him a call, talk to him about his views on how to create a multi-billion-dollar company. All right. Who should be an entrepreneur? Okay. What personal characteristics does it take to be an entrepreneur? When I was in business school, I was actually given a quiz. There were 20 questions on it. And the first question, out of 100 points that you could get for what qualities does it take to be an entrepreneur, the first question was 80 points. Okay? Let's have some guesses. What do you think that first question was? Lots? I know that Tavis made fun of everybody who answered any question. I'm not like that. So I don't like that hat. Sorry, that's my attempt to be. Never mind. I'm going to stop. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. I love the hat. I apologize.
Thank you. Yeah. Being prepared to fail.
Being prepared to fail. Having a good risk profile.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. That's actually part of it. It's not the question, but it's something the question answers.
Staying receptive to new opportunities.
Is it?
Like having an open perception to everything and just knowing when to how to identify opportunities.
Okay. So now keeping in mind, this is a question. So I'm actually asking you a question, and you have to be able to say yeah or no. Okay. And it's objective. Somebody else can look at you and say yeah or no on this question. So that's, while it's true, is a little bit fuzzy. Okay. So I'll tell you. The first question is your father an entrepreneur? And then the subheading is or someone else who's very close to you. It's an uncle, mother. Not grandfather, okay? That doesn't get that far away. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. Of the people in this room, how many of you have a parent or very close relative who's an entrepreneur? Right. Okay, am I getting about half? Okay, the rest of you are going to fail. I'm just sorry. Or at least you have a 20% chance of failing. No, I'll go back to the first answer. It's absolutely about risk profile, okay? People who've grown up in a family who've been raised in an environment where somebody gets a paycheck, and every 2 weeks that money comes in, and if after that 2 weeks the money doesn't come in, you're going to be looking for another job, and you're panicking. And that's not a good risk profile for being an entrepreneur. I haven't been in a single company that hasn't panicked and ran out of cash about 6 months into its founding. Twice it panicked and ran into cash flow problems and went out of business, and 3 times we figured out how to get past that. Right? People who need a job to survive will never get past that 6-month point. Okay? Your company will never do exactly what you think it'll do. The story, Simply Audiobooks, 6 months in, we were selling in Canada. The company rents audiobooks by mail. You guys have heard of Netflix or Zip.ca? Okay. So it basically took the Netflix model and applied it to CDs for audiobooks. A pretty simple idea. The company took off. But 6 months in, we'd been selling in Canada, and we were getting 1 customer every second day. Okay? So you can probably tell this thing didn't have a lot of legs. We panicked. We went out and raised a little bit more money. In fact, I had to put a lot more money into it. And then we started advertising in the United States. Okay? We didn't have operations in the United States. We couldn't ship an audiobook in the United States, but we started, this cool thing had come up called Google AdWords. I'll talk more about that later. But it was a way to advertise in the States and we got 9 customers our first day. We sent apology letters to all 9 customers, said we're really sorry. Then we scrambled and built a warehouse capability in Buffalo and never looked back. The company just skyrocketed from that point forward. So we kind of panicked, got the money, did something, and made it succeed. The most recent company, Graboid, same thing. 6 months in, we launched this product. It was revolutionary. Okay, revolutionary. If you want high-speed streamed video, high quality, off the internet, free, there is no way to get it other than this software. Okay? Our blog post was, 9:59 p.m. on July 29th, 2007, Graboid goes live, let the world come, right? And the next day, nobody came, right? We had a bunch of beta testers. They didn't tell anybody. Software was buggy. People couldn't find the videos they wanted necessarily. There was all kinds of problems. And all of a sudden, it was like, oh man, I had to go out and raise another $150,000 to just pay salaries and continue while we figured out what went wrong. Fixed a couple of key bugs, started advertising like crazy, and again, the company has since just skyrocketed, right? The companies you start are going to encounter difficulties, right? So from this, I'll give you one really important lesson on how to fail as an entrepreneur, okay? And that is by not raising enough money out of the gate, okay? That's the number one mistake every entrepreneur makes, is you think, I don't want to give up half my company to get $1 million or to get $100,000, okay? I only really need $50,000, and that way I get to keep 75% of my company. And because if your financial forecast says you need $50,000, right? You need $100,000. You probably need $200,000. Okay? If you're trying to be accurate and you say it needs $50,000 or $1 million, you guaranteed you will need twice that. Okay? So either make sure you have somebody who can put in more money, or put in the correct financial forecast the first time. Don't ever give up more than half your company because you want to have that motivation, the ownership control. And any reasonable investor will never ask you for more than half your company. But make sure you get the right amount of cash. Being undercapitalized is what killed both of the businesses that I had. And when I hear stories from entrepreneurs coming to me and saying, I would have succeeded, but, right? It's not because the product didn't work, right? It's not because government regulators came and shut them down. It's always because of the cash, okay? To start a company, usually the first thing people come up with is an idea, okay? So when you have an idea, anti-gravity, okay? I'm going to come up with a car that levitates, because this is a brilliant idea, okay? I'm going to come up with a car that levitates, goes 400 miles an hour, accident-proof, everything, okay? Brilliant idea, right? I could sell this thing for a lot of money. Absolutely, okay. So what's the first question you ask yourself when you come up with an idea? Okay. Very first thing, instantaneous reaction. If I come up to you and say, I'm going to come up with a type of jacket that when you're giving speeches and you feel a little bit hungry, you can nibble a little piece off, okay? Okay. What's the first question that you should ask yourself? Right?
Do people want it?
Yeah, okay. Do people want it? Absolutely. And actually, so let me back up here a little bit. Let's say that you think the idea is okay. So that kind of means you've answered for yourself a few of the basic questions of, are people going to like it? Is it somewhat feasible to actually pull off? Things like that, okay? So, but absolutely, that should be part of the genesis idea. But now you've got a great idea. You've come up with this really good idea, okay? Now what do you ask yourself?
How are you going to go about creating the product?
That probably gets a little bit further down, okay? When somebody gives me an idea, right, and it sounds like a reasonable idea, okay, and I'll give you my favorite one. A buddy of mine came up to me at a week before Christmas and said he thought it would be brilliant. He could make $1 million by making a mistletoe that hung from your belt, okay, and went about this high, okay? So my first question to him was, that's brilliant. Has it already been done? Okay? If it's a good idea, if it seems like it's possible, if it seems like people are going to want it, has it been done? Because most of the time, it's been done. So the first thing I said to him is, have you heard of Google? Why don't we go to Google, okay, and just type in, like waist-high mistletoe or something like that, okay? Sure enough, there was at least 6 different companies that made this little tchotchke that was like a Christmas novelty or some such. A buddy of mine recently came up to me and said, hey, he just finished reading The 4-Hour Workweek. Okay? Anybody read that book? Okay, so great motivational book for becoming an entrepreneur, for making lots of money. A lot of cool ideas. One of them is to create a niche product on the internet where you don't have to actually do any work. Somebody else will make it. You just have a website that processes some orders and ships them out. Okay, the world has become nichified like you wouldn't believe. His idea, he knows something about outsourcing to China. So he said, I am going to outsource customized oil paintings, okay, on the internet. My reaction was, that's kind of clever. I can imagine it. But somebody's got to be doing it, right? So yeah, so we did the quick search. Sure enough, customized oil paintings, companies all over the place, okay? So nichify, okay? So his next thought was, people love their pets, okay? I'm going to create customized oil paintings of pets, okay? I listened to this and I'm thinking, that's brilliant. Like, I know people love their pets. It's one of the new big emerging trends, people treating their pets like kids, okay? So we go on the internet, and there's a raft of companies doing customized oil paintings of pets. All right? So the next idea was, look, okay, I don't know if we're going too far. How about customized oil paintings of Labrador retrievers? Okay? Let's see if that'll actually pull it off. So fortunately, there actually is no company that we can tell that actually does this. So that's not my new business, by the way, but that's his idea. I think he just wants to make $2,000 a month to pay for an Aston Martin because he can't justify it any other way. So, good luck to him if he manages to pull that off. So the first question is, has it been done before? Okay? And that's easy to find out. We live in an information age where we are so fortunate to have tools like Google. The second question, much harder, okay? And this is the one that will make or break your career as an entrepreneur, okay? Is if it hasn't been done, why not? Because there's this thing called economic rationalism in economics. And it says that when things haven't happened or when things have happened, there's an underlying economic reason for it. And if you can't find the economic reason for it, it means you haven't looked hard enough. Not that there isn't one, right? It's almost never that nobody's thought of it. It does happen, okay, from time to time, but usually there's some stronger reason why somebody hasn't done a particular idea, okay? So, I don't know, velocity is a decent example, right? How did it come to be that it was the first thing of its kind, right? Or had it been done before?
Not in this way.
Okay.
There's a handful of examples in the States. Residences geared at entrepreneurship. Okay. But they don't quite go to the extent of bringing in speakers such as yourself. They don't go to the extent of really developing projects, and they don't focus in on a particular technology or industry. Okay. So what you're trying is, to some extent, nichifying this, right? Yeah. Creating a more tight vertical focus to make it successful. And cater to this university and this community. Right. Okay. So how I'll characterize that is it's been done before, okay? But now we're making it better, creating elements of it that will make it work. Okay. My first business was Video Drive. It was a home video delivery service in the days. It's kind of like Netflix, actually, except there was no internet and no DVDs. So we struggled. And the first question that my business school entrepreneurship prof said, "Why has it been done before?" And my answer was, "No, it hasn't been done before. I never heard of such a thing." Right? And he goes, "You're an idiot. You're not that smart that you're the first guy to have come up with this idea. Find out who's done it before." And it took some hard work, some hard slogging. This was 1992. Okay, the internet, the World Wide Web, came into its own in 1993. There were no search engines or anything like that back then. I eventually found a couple of examples of places where this had happened. One of them was in Toronto, a company called Video Van Gogh, founded by the guy who now owns Colonel's Popcorn. Okay? So I called him up. I said, "Listen, a buddy and I are thinking about starting up a home video delivery company and would love to come talk to you." He says, "Fine. Come into his office." The guy's a
great successful entrepreneur now. And he looks at me in the eye and he goes, do you have a job? And I go, yeah, I worked at Nortel, my partner worked at McKinsey. He goes, if you have a job, don't do this. He says, there is no good reason for you to become an entrepreneur if you have a job. Then we talked a little bit about the actual idea, and he gave me reason after reason after reason why it was a bad idea. All things, it was hard to market, it was hard to keep the drivers from, I don't know, selling their video cassettes in a pawn shop. He had a bunch of reasons, all of which I countered with, but I can fix that. I can do it better, and I couldn't. So we went into business on that one, went out of business 6 months later, for all the precise reasons that he had said, right? So one lesson here is, you guys are all brilliant, okay? You wouldn't be at this university if you weren't brilliant. Don't let that get to your heads, okay? Just because you know how to do something really well doesn't mean you can do anything really well. The important thing to realize when you're starting a company is, while you can decide to own the whole thing yourself, if you don't need to raise money, you should never start a company by yourself. Okay? When you're sitting down and thinking, okay, I'm going to start a company that makes, open platform voicemail systems is too broad, but I'm going to start a company that makes jackets and exports them to the United States. Do I know anything about operations? Do I know anything about marketing, sales, finance? Find the people who complement what you don't know and bring them into your orbit. Okay? It should be, when you've got the idea, when you've figured out whether it's been done before, and if it hasn't, why not, and what are you going to do that's different, or if it hasn't been done, it really hasn't been done, how you're going to implement it. The next thing you do is you find your team. Okay? It's not start going, be successful, then start attracting people because you're successful. It's find the team first. And this is, I'll say, in my opinion, the number one reason why Velocity is going to be awesome, or already is, it's going to be even more awesome, is you've got your teams here, right? Either at the university at large or the people who live around you now. These are the people that you're going to be able to go to and say, I've got this idea, you want to join me? I've got an idea, I need a partner, or most typically it's going to be, I know how to program, I need a marketing guy. I know how to sell, I need a programmer. That's the combination that you'll find most often. So if you're one of those two, start making friends with people who do the other. Okay? But in general, get to know other people. Get to know people who have the risk profile to leave university, not halfway through, like a lot of the successful people in history, but finish your degrees. I have to say that, right? So finish your degrees and go and not get a job. It's hard. There are very few people who can come out of a university degree, out of the money that you spend to get a university degree these days, and say, I'm just going to go take a flyer on this. Forget about 80% of businesses failing and all that. I'm going to go out and start a company with my best buddy here that I met at Velocity. One thought then is, so you've got your partner, you've got an idea, you've got a partner or partners, and now you're going to go out, and one of the most critical items on feasibility is how much money is it going to take to actually do this. Okay? Most companies don't need a lot of money. We read about companies that go out and raise $5 million or $50 million from a venture capital organization, go out and make $1 billion, or go out and fall flat on their faces. But we're talking venture capital, we're talking about millions of dollars. 99% of businesses don't go after venture capital. You read about them in the papers, and so therefore, to people on college campuses especially, you think, oh, that's the way it's done. I got to get to know, a bunch of people at the following 50 firms, and then I'm going to go out and get money from them when I have my idea. And it's not. Most people finance their companies on credit cards, on loans from their friends and family, on some variety of institutional investor or individuals with a lot of money who are called angel investors. But you don't need to go out and raise millions of dollars. At the very least, get a smaller amount of money, prove the concept, get a couple of customers, prove that there's something here worth selling, and then go get money. Because then you can perhaps raise $1 million and not have to sell an arm and a leg to get it. Okay? And so all these people, when you do approach people, though, to raise money, even if it's okay, I'm an angel investor. I'll talk more about that later. But if you come to me and say, I've got a brilliant idea, okay, I just need you to sign a non-disclosure agreement, okay, and I'll tell you all about the idea. You guys know what NDAs are, non-disclosure agreements? Okay. So I want you to sign this non-disclosure agreement, okay, or this. What's my reaction going to be?
No.
Yeah, I'm going to laugh first. I'm going to say, where did you learn how to entrepreneur, right? Because like, if you haven't heard a speaker like me talk to you, please find a speaker like me. Tell your friends to come talk to me, whatever. Okay, if you ask an investor to sign an NDA, they will laugh and tell you to get out of their office, okay? If you send a motion picture script or something to Hollywood with an NDA, they will throw it back at you for the exact same reason, which is, I get too many ideas. People are talking to me all the time. If I've heard what you have to say, your idea from somewhere else before, right? Now I've got myself into a legal bind by having signed an NDA with you because you're going to think I stole your idea. That's the legal reason. But an even broader reason is, I've got better things to do with my time than steal your ideas, right? I'm working actively with 3 companies right now. People are throwing ideas at me all the time. What I'm looking for is people who can start companies. I'm not looking for ideas. I'm looking for you to come to me and say, you've got an idea and you're going to start a company and maybe you need a little bit of money, right? And then it's okay. If it's a decent idea, then here's some money. But I will never listen to the idea and go, oh, yeah, this guy, I don't trust him. But I know some people who can start this company with. No, that'll never happen. Okay? So when you have your idea, share it with somebody. Don't ask them to sign an NDA. Okay? So now, where do you go for funding sources? The way all of my companies have started, okay, has been either on personal funds, personal savings, or angel investors. Okay? So let me ask that. Anybody give me a definition of an angel investor? There's actually a legal definition of an angel investor, but do we know? Don't know any angel investors? Somebody at least guess. Sorry?
I know of one.
Okay, so describe this angel investor.
They're like north of here, and like they're called Infusion Angels.
Okay. Okay, so that's an organization of them, but an angel investor is always a person. Okay, whether you get 5 of them or something, but it's a single person. Okay, the criteria is you have to have disposable assets, like not a home or things like that, but liquid assets of $2 million or more. Okay, and you get accredited somehow. Okay, that's the kind of technical definition, but realistically, it's anybody with a lot of money who's willing to give you some is an angel. Okay, because they tend to not get too involved in your business. They tend to not be too demanding about it. They just kind of trust you. Your dad could be an angel investor. Your aunt could be an angel investor. Okay? I've been an angel investor in several companies. The last 3, in fact, were all companies. The idea didn't come from me. People came to me for money. So what you need to do then for somebody like me is I don't need to hear a business plan. I don't need to, that's another thing that you will probably encounter at some point in your careers or as entrepreneurs is you will have a business plan, much bigger than this, 20 or 30 pages, and you're going to hand it across to somebody and say, please invest, okay? And that person's going to hand it back to you and say, tell you what, this looked really good, okay? But take a look at those financial tables, fix them up a little bit, and give it back to me and I'll take a look, okay? What does that mean?
They didn't read it?
No, they might have at least skimmed it, right? Yeah, so.
They don't have time to read it all.
That's certainly part of it, okay? But, so a broader interpretation is, piss off and don't come back and bother me. Okay? It's if somebody, an indication that they're kind of interested but they want you to do more work is when they say, I'll give you $1 million, but I want 90% of your company, okay? That's when they think it's a decent idea, but they don't think it's good enough to really trust you with, okay? When they come back and say, yeah, that's really interesting, if someone else says they're going to invest, then I might come along for the ride, right? Knowing no one else will. Or if you can figure out how to get customers, then maybe I'll invest, right? That's not what they actually mean. It means I can't figure out a way to get customers, and I don't think you can either, so piss off and don't come back here, okay? The reason they do this, I had a personal experience that has now brought me on side. I was sitting in my office. I had agreed to meet some guys who had this idea of, okay, I'll tell you the whole idea. You tell me what you think. Okay? They came in and said they're going to buy gray market goods. Okay, so this is like, I don't know, a shipment of 20,000 boots out of Russia that didn't get sold somewhere. Okay? They're going to buy them at a cut rate and put them into a big store, okay, in a third world country, India or China, and turn themselves into a giant Walmart. Okay? And on top of that, then as they grew financially stronger, they were going to come back to America with this concept and take on Walmart. Okay? What do you guys think? How much money do you think I gave them? Yeah, no. A bus ticket? If they deserved a bus ticket, I would have given them a bus ticket. No, I didn't, unfortunately, I didn't say, that sounds really interesting. But I just, I don't have the time right now, or I don't have time to read your business plan. No, I said, that's the stupidest idea I ever heard of. Okay, I actually said, that's the stupidest idea I ever heard of, because have you even read the Walmart history? Do you have any idea why Sam Walton succeeded, what he did to succeed? Do you have any idea how hard it is to buy gray market goods and keep them in any kind of balanced inventory? Do you know anything about operations? And the guy took his briefcase, okay, closed it, slammed it down on my desk, okay, said, you're an asshole, you don't know what you're talking about, I've got an MBA from this school, my partner's got an MBA from this school, I worked for American Express for 10 years, I know what I'm talking about, I'm going to succeed, and you're an asshole, and he went out and slammed the door. Okay? It was actually, for me, like, people don't behave like that, right? But entrepreneurs, you people, okay, when you get it into your heads that you've got a good idea, nothing will talk you out of it. In fact, sometimes you'll even fail, and then afterwards say, well, it was because it was too cold, it was too hot, my shoelaces were too tight. I don't know what it was. But you can't, you should never tell an entrepreneur straight up that their idea is just bad. Ask them some questions. Say, hey, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Maybe you should do this. And this is as friends, okay? When people come to you about ideas, is, accentuate their idea. Give them feedback. Give them positive encouragement, because that's what a lot of what entrepreneurs need. As a potential investor, think about this when you come out of university or many years from now when you want to invest as opposed to necessarily start companies. As an investor, don't ever throw it back in their faces. It doesn't do anybody any good. Somebody's going to get really upset. I'm kind of, lucky you didn't hit me. So I guess I'm good with that. All right, so we're going to go back to how do we get customers. So now you've got a team, you've got an idea that's going to work. You have hopefully a little bit of money. Now how do you get customers? How do you find out if you can get customers for a business? Okay. Now there is one tool that is better than any other possible tool for finding out how to get customers, and it's not running a survey or asking your friends. Okay. It's called Google AdWords. Okay. So high raise of hands, okay? How many people know what Google AdWords is? Okay. All right, moving on to the next subject then. So I will say this very quickly, and people can ask me questions afterwards if you like, is what you should do is craft an ad that adequately describes what it is you're trying to sell, figure out some words that people might type in to find your product, and run that ad for $100 for a couple of days on Google and see if anybody clicks on it. That's it. Okay? If people want something, unless you're selling yachts or 747s, generally they're going to be looking for it on the internet in large numbers. If you can't find some of those people to click on your ad, and it's very inexpensive and easy to learn how to do this, if you can't get some people to click on your ad, then for a little while refine the ad and see if there's something wrong with how you're setting up your ad campaign. But if you can't find those people, then hey, that's a pretty powerful indicator that the idea that you've got just doesn't have legs. Okay. Now, one thing that a lot of, I guess, speakers or entrepreneurs don't talk about is how to know beyond this when you've got a really bad idea. Okay. So let's say you run your Google AdWords campaign. Hey, you get 100 clicks the first day. People are excited about your product. Everything's going great. Okay. You start your company. You got your good partners. You run out of money 6 months later, and you're trying to think, okay, I'm going to go raise some more money. I'll give away a little bit more of my company. I'll work a little bit harder. How do you know when to quit? Okay? Because people like me will stand up here and say, you should never quit. Quitters never win, winners never quit. Don't ever say die. Keep on going. It's always darkest before the dawn. The light at the that's the light at the end of the tunnel is the headlight of an oncoming train. That is the one I want to talk about. Okay, because the people who say never quit are the people who get invited to speak to groups like this. Okay. The people who didn't quit and had bad ideas are working at McDonald's right now. Not to say anything bad about people who work at McDonald's, but you hope they're teenagers or people who speak Spanish, but not you guys, okay? So set up, when you start your business, when you find your partner, set up at the outset. Hey guys, if we can get to this point by this time, then we've got something going, okay? But if we can't get to at least this point by this time, then hey, we should probably hang it up and go try and do something else. Okay? And it's, quitting while you're ahead isn't the same as quitting. Right? If anybody's seen that Denzel Washington movie, I did steal it from there. I'm hoping nobody saw it, but okay. Quitting while you're ahead is not the same as quitting. I made that up. Okay. So, yeah, realize when the difference between, sinking money into a bad investment and saying, okay, we just didn't capitalize it properly, or we still have this big thing to do and we never tried to do that, or, you have to be reasonable about what's around the next corner. Right? My first business, I lost $60,000 on it, but there was a point when my partner said, I'm willing to put in more money if you're willing to stick this out. And my answer was, this business has already cost me a lot, okay, socially and financially. I think it just doesn't have the legs, right? And quit it there. And I was able to get another job reasonably easily and kind of went on with my life. So if I had heeded that lesson with the second company, but I was too emotionally involved in the second company, and I had made another critical error that I'm telling you not to make now, which is I didn't have any partners. So when I was making a really boneheaded move, there wasn't somebody who was my equal to say, that's a really boneheaded move. There were lots of people who weren't kind of in the business, friends of mine, whatnot, who said, that's a boneheaded move, but I didn't listen to them. It's not the same as having some guy who has the same percentage ownership as you do telling you, don't do this. Okay, okay, some miscellaneous notes, okay? Business plans. You can go online and find a dozen sources for a template for a business plan. bizlaunch.ca is a really good one. I'm sure that here you guys take a course. There's a course in entrepreneurship? Okay. So I'm sure you can take a course where they'll give you a template. A business plan is a way for you to think through your own idea, to make sure you've gone through that process of, is this a good idea? Has it been done before? Who are my competitors? How am I going to get customers? How am I going to make this, right? It's for your purposes. When you show it to me as an investor, I'm going to read the first 3 paragraphs in bold print and flip to the back of the financials, and that's it. Okay? You don't need a 40-page business plan. You sure as hell don't need a glossy cover on it and a nice binding or whatever it is that people do these days. Okay? Some of the best business plans, the business plan for the Palm Pilot was written on the back of a cocktail napkin. Okay? The business plan for Graboid, which is, again, now massively successful, was less than a full page. Okay? The business plan for the newest company called Pricist was actually a 3-page document, and I read the first paragraph and said, how much money do you need? Okay? The business plan itself is your own tool. So when you're making it, don't think of it in terms of this thing has to be great because the presentation of this is what's going to get me the money. No, that's actually not how it works. Do a good business plan because you want to make sure your own thinking is solid, not because you're trying to impress somebody else. Okay? Scientific research and experimental development credits, SR&ED. Raise of hands, who's heard of SR&ED? Okay? Serious raise of hands. Okay, I can actually talk about this one then. When you start a business, you will all start, I presume, technology businesses. You're not going to be like reselling rubber animal parts or lipstick or, okay? SR&ED, and it's known as SR&ED in the industry, okay? When you start a company that's a tech company, guaranteed you are going to be able to write off 80% of all the money you put into this, and of that 80%, you will get 60% of it back as cash from the government within 6 weeks of the end of your fiscal year, okay? So if you play this right, you'll have virtually zero risk of losing money in the first year of business, because the money you're getting compensated back is the part, how to put it, if you're paying yourself a salary, you will have your salary and then get 60% of it back, plus 60% of whatever you paid other people back, okay? It's almost impossible to lose money for a tech startup that's run properly because of the SR&ED grant program that the government has, and everybody is eligible. Okay, this isn't one of those things where it's some kind of airy-fairy esoteric thing and people talk about it and maybe you can get it, maybe you can't. Okay? If your company designs websites for other people, okay, you think there's scientific research and experimental development in that? Most people don't think so, but I can guarantee you that someone will figure out a way to spin that to get you a SR&ED credit. Okay? Of course, there's genuine things you do that are true scientific research, but the program isn't designed by the government to develop new technologies, okay? It's designed to shift the base of infrastructure and industry in this country to a more tech-savvy information systems industry. And so anybody who starts a business that's tech-related, make sure you know about SR&ED grants. Sorry?
How do you spell that?
SR&ED. And in fact, if you type in SR&ED into Google Canada, it'll get a whole bunch of hits. Okay? And even better, there's a whole raft of consultants out there, and what they do is you come to them and say, here's my company, here's what I'm doing, and they'll say, fine, I will file the application for you. If it's successful, I'll take 10%, 20%, 30% of the grant, okay, and you get the rest. There is zero risk. Because filling out the paperwork is actually a bit of a hassle, right? If you know somebody, at least the first year, get somebody to do it for you so you can look at the paperwork, see what it is, and then after that, submit it yourself. But don't start it, like, create that business plan, make sure SR&ED's in the business plan for your own thinking as to how you're going to get some of the money out, right? Again, Graboid, when I started it, one of the justifications I had for putting my money in is I put into the shareholders agreement that I had what's called a liquidity preference. If the business went under, all the SR&ED money came back to me. And my partner's comment when he saw that in the shareholders agreement was, man, this is a really good deal for you. I go, yeah, do you want the money or not? So again, basically just understand the concept. How are we doing on time? 5 minutes. Okay. So the next concept I want to talk about is shotgun agreement. Okay? If you go into business with a partner, and I've already told you that you have to go into business with a partner, okay, then you have to have a shotgun agreement. Okay? This is, if you don't understand shotguns and why you need to have them, then I can virtually guarantee you, because 70% of business partnerships go sour, okay, I can guarantee you that you will come out someday and think, I hate my partner, I wish I hadn't have done that, I could have protected myself, why oh why didn't I hear or execute a shotgun agreement, okay? And what a shotgun is it's really simple. I'm saying to my partner, tell you what, I'm going to name a price, okay? You decide whether you want to buy or sell the company. So typically, what will end up happening is I'm forced to set a reasonable price if I want to buy the company, because he could turn it around and take the company away from me. Okay? For partners who have roughly equal financial means, you have to have a shotgun. If one person's rich and the other person's poor, there's conditions you can put on a shotgun, because otherwise the rich person could take advantage of the other person and just name a low number because they know they can't come up with the money. Okay? So there's lots of conditions you can put on. I can talk about that with anybody who's interested. But you can do shotguns with 5 people. You can do shotguns with 2 people. There's so many variations on this. But if you look it up on the internet, you can find lots of templates. But I'd also suggest getting a nice, cheap lawyer to draft one for you. In general, you should know nice, cheap lawyers. There aren't that many of them. And so ask for advice from people. Most angel investors will know very good accountants and very good lawyers who don't charge too much money. It's one of the most valuable things you can have as an entrepreneur. So make sure you have one. Okay. So I guess the thought I'm going to leave you with is when you start these companies and you're thinking, I'm going to make a lot of money, or I'm going to make this great product, I'm going to be able to buy a nice car, or I'm going to be powerful, and people are going to flock to me for my advice. Okay? What I will say to you is work for greatness. When you're designing your product, designing your company, getting your partners involved, think, we're going to make this a billion-dollar company. This is going to be amazing. This is going to change the face of industry. Because if you don't think like that, right? If you think, I'm going to flip this thing in 2 years, somebody will come along and give me a large paycheck, you won't create the kind of company that people are going to want to come and invest in or buy or give you a lot of money for. Okay? So, you guys are all brilliant. You're students at the University of Waterloo. You're legends in Canada. Okay? You've got ideas. Right? I've got money. Okay? We should talk. All right?
Couple minutes for questions.
Sure. Back, sir.
I'm curious, so you make money, Graboid makes money streaming high-resolution videos, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What's the monetization? Like, where does the money come from?
Oh, we have premium plans.
So it's a subscription?
Yeah, exactly. So you can get it for free. Recurs, you get 4 gigabytes a month, and people run out of that very quickly. So about 6% of them convert to paid plans, and
that's enough to, well...
It's massive. I think 0.3% of users of LimeWire convert to paid plans, and LimeWire is a massively profitable company. Yeah. So that's one of the models for taking a free product and making money off it. Sorry.
I was curious.
I was just really curious, what are some of the advantages and disadvantages of being a venture capitalist and investing in startups as opposed to other forms of investing in money?
It's extremely high return, disproportionate return for companies that are successful. And for companies that aren't successful, you put terms and conditions into the contracts that really limit your downside and completely screw over the entrepreneur. Okay? So if you talk to somebody who's ever been involved with a VC, what you'll find is not VCs are bad people, they're smart people. Okay? So if you talk to somebody who's been involved with a VC who had a company that wasn't stellar, they're going to hate VCs. If you talk to a company that was stellar, VCs help you enormously, right? With contacts, with money, with advice when necessary. So, but if I was going to be a VC or a partner in a VC firm, it'd be because I make 10x my money on one investment and lose money on 5, and the other 4 kind of do okay. So hey, I made 100% of my money. That's not bad. Okay.
So for you, when deciding who to give money to and who not to, what would be the most important thing to make a decision?
The person, right? If I've heard about the person, or if I know that person, what they're capable of, I'll invest almost independent of the idea, right? I mean, the idea has to not be like completely brain dead, but so that's one. The second one is if I can get personally involved in the business. Sometimes I'll do it if I don't know the person that well, right? But usually it's somebody who's met me somewhere, who's kept in touch over time, has pitched a couple of ideas, and they eventually come to me. And so I know they've got some perseverance, because that's a really important quality in an entrepreneur. We good? Oh, sorry.
You mentioned a new company you're getting involved with, doing retail stuff. I'm sort of curious what you can tell us about that that's
Have I got an NDA here somewhere handy? I gotta. Oh, it's basically it's a type of website skinned for use on mobile phones where you go in and so you walk into a mall, okay? So it'll automatically pick up where you are. Like you could just be at a busy intersection, doesn't really matter. You walk into a mall and it'll say you are at Sherway Gardens Mall.
GPS?
GPS based. Most phones nowadays, most of the smartphones come out with GPS now. So it'll tell you where you are. It'll give you a list of all the specials, the deals or whatever that are going on in that location. Then that's basically merchants bidding on saying, I've got 50% off shoes today. I want it to appear on that site, so I'm going to pay 50 cents every time somebody sees it. That part's brain dead. You put it in there just so you can make some money off merchants. The next part is where people who've actually experienced any of these deals vote very quickly up and down. Is this a real deal, a good deal, bad deal, pure commercial, whatever? And so what you do is you go in, you click user voted deals, and all of a sudden you find out that Bombay companies actually got 50% off on everything and it's real. Or, you know, NHL 09 just came out at EB Games and you better get over there. But, you know, because I was only there to buy a shirt at the Gap or something and I wouldn't have known about it. That's the value of this product. You can also do searching and browsing, but it's basically user feedback generated information on sales that's geo-targeted, right? It's taking Google AdWords and instead of making it keyword-based, making it geo-based. So this is one of those things that I think is going to change the world. It'll be $1 billion company, or it'll fall completely flat on its face, and it'll be a good story the next time I give a talk. Right.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. All right.
Well, it's been an awesome weekend. I'm so happy how it came off, and I'm glad you guys could be here to celebrate it. And I'm happy that Sanjay, you could come and give the closing keynote. It was a fitting closing to a great weekend. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for coming.
Thank you. Oh, it's heavy. This is good. Is there alcohol in here?
You have to wait till you get in your car.
All right, thanks.